And from California, Representative Kiley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for bringing this bill forward. I'm glad to co-sponsor it, and it's a bill that has become necessary because of the way that many districts across the country, and in the case of California, an entire state, have interposed themselves between students and their parents in the most abhorrent of ways. So let's just look at what's happened in my state of California. You have many, many districts, many documented cases of a school that has actively encouraged a child to identify with a new gender. And they did this without the parents' knowledge, without the parents' consent, and then they lied to the parents about it. We have many documented cases of a parent confronting the school and the school or personnel lying about it and even fabricating and doctoring documents, changing the child's name on assignments that were handed in. I mean, just imagine what this looks like in practice if you are not allowed to say that the child is using a different name or a different gender identity. So you're using one name and one set of pronouns with the child in class, and their parents come in and suddenly you have to switch. You're using a different name and a different set of pronouns. This is absolute madness. So because of the prevalence of this across our state, a number of responsible districts came forward and said, we're not going to do this. We're going to put protections for students and their families into our district policy and say that this is something that parents have the right to know about. So how does the state respond? The Attorney General, with the backing of the governor, they immediately start suing these districts. They start filing lawsuits trying to get binding legal judgments that will force these districts to lie to parents. And then on top of that, the supermajority legislature passes a bill, and the governor signs it, that as a matter of state law says that we are not going to allow districts to tell parents the truth. Now, thankfully, many of those lawsuits are being rejected by the courts, and the Trump administration has now launched an investigation challenging that new state law for violating the Federal Education Rights and Privacy Act, otherwise known as FERPA. But this bill is very necessary for a number of reasons. And you know, the other side has brought up about how children with gender dysphoria are at an increased risk of suicide. That is precisely why this bill is so important. Think about that. You have a child who has a condition that is known to be associated with an extremely increased risk of suicidal ideations, and the district says we're going to hide that information from parents? This is something that parents absolutely need to know about. It's monstrous to say we're not going to let you know that your child is at an increased risk of suicide. And finally, I want to address this idea that there's somehow a contradiction between this bill and the commitment our committee has to local control in education. That is absolutely not the case. We support local control in education because we believe that curriculum and school offerings and the different options available to parents should reflect the values of the community, that there should be direct input from the community and local elected officials, and a whole host of other reasons, such as allowing for innovation and the fact that the schools generally are not run best from Washington, D.C. But that doesn't mean that we can't have civil rights laws. We have civil rights laws in this country that provide a basic level of protection for the dignity of each person, and there are particular civil rights laws that are attendant to an educational context, including protections against discrimination on the basis of sex, and including FERPA, the Federal Educational Rights and Privacy Act. So we will continue to actively promote local control in education. I think we're going to see enormous progress in that respect from this committee, from the new administration, and it will have great benefits across the country. But we will not permit federal education dollars to be used to create a dangerous wall of separation between kids and their parents. I yield back.
I thank the gentleman. I recognize the gentlelady from Connecticut.